or is that flying contrast?
No, I don't think it's a concept, because terrorism is an instance of that, because they call it preventive war, but on the contrary, it presupposes that terrorism is there. Yeah. Otherwise, you cannot make this war. So the presupposition is terrorism exists.
Everywhere.
It's there and it is everywhere. So that's why, so the so-called preventive war is a way to intervene in the phenomenon and to govern it, to try to draw good consequence from this phenomenon.
And this is tied directly to economic crisis. It's also tied directly to the revolution in military affairs, where the technology was compactable or portable, computers, drones, and so forth. Is that fair to see it in this sort of paradigm? The change in the revolution in military affairs that occurred, implementing technology and
war technologies.
Yeah, there's a book by Peter Singer that I'm currently reading about war machines and intelligence. I forget exactly what the title's called right now, but you're making a connection between technology and economy, and obviously it follows.
No, not really directly related to technology. He asked the problem of how to do. I was just establishing this genealogy of the modern economy and the divine economy.
Yeah, and I think actually in response to that, the model that you propose is very close to the analysis that Naomi Klein makes in Disaster Capitalism, that to let something happen and then to govern that, but also because there's a complicity with capitalism such that governance would also produce profit. So I think that model is very close to that, and the collusion of capital and governmentality works there. But I think the question of the military transformation is something different, because it's implicated in that, but I'm not exactly sure how that implication is, because how that implication plays out. It's certainly put to use in certain places. The National Guard would be sent to Katrina, but they're also in a way as ineffective as FEMA and any other governmental agency. Perhaps the way to approach it would be to consider that the conduct of war as a kind of inducement or instigation, and then the governance of, for example, take the battlefield, to cause something to happen or presume something to happen, that there are terrorist places here and there, and then to govern the battlefield once those presumptions have been made. Perhaps that's the way to...
Is this the divine economy, though? Is that what's
determining...
Well, the genealogy
is right there.
Is that what is determining a technological advance? Because if we're beginning to talk about a sort of ontology of technology, is the divine economy, what's the relationship between the changes in the military? Because I think a lot of times young thinkers particularly assume that it's just the military that runs everything. I think it's a terrible sort of assumption to make. What's the role of divine economy in changing military application? What's the relationship? What's determining? You know, we have these models of economic determinism, determines culture and so forth. And I'm kind of curious on how divine economy plays in that. I suppose that was my question.
No,
Thanks, Tom.
the kind of investigation I try to do now are on this level, this ontological level. Then establishing the connections between this and, for instance, the technological problem, etc., is also another part of the work. That this I hope that other people will help.
Sure.
Yes.
So, if I captured this right,
Pardon?
if I captured it correctly, you said at the beginning of this week that the core question that you're trying to investigate is what would a model of life, or a model for life that's impossible to divide. So what's the urgency for you in trying to define that, what you then call form of life? What will it enable to change?
Yeah, as I told you, my starting point was, on the contrary, the analysis of phenomena where you see a divided life. No? The extreme case of what I call birth or naked life, where I see an operation of power, of law, which results in a even real, effective splitting of the subject. That's why I still think this, that today, not today, perhaps since many centuries, power operates, and many, not only power, I mean many other factors in our modern life operate through a division of life. That's why I dwelt on the first example in Aristotle, dividing vegetative life, etc. So in medicine, technology, politics, we strongly see this phenomenon. That's why. So the point was for me: can we, on the contrary, elaborate a form, a concept like the form of life, which will resist this splitting, which will, in this sense, be undividable? So the wager was this. It was a stake for me in this attempt.
Do you think that it has the ability to withstand political pressure, as an example, to constantly want to divide it so it can manage a country better?
So, in a way, this will withstand this process of division, of course. It's opposite of naked life, opposite of bare life. So again, we can see there a field, two opposite, bare life and form of life, and then all the crossing, the intertwining, but in that way, in this perspective, so as an antagonist process to this process of division.
Okay, so then identifying the model or defining that first would be like the first step toward being able to take some sort of concerted political action to try and hold this off, or to stop it or change it. The division, this constant division.
Yes?
I wanted to maybe bring back the discussion to contemporary arts, because you started mentioning art last night, and I'm myself busy with the sort of archaeology of curatorship in the last 50 years, and the transformation of curators in
Artists.
yeah. Well, basically, if I see it like through this prism, somehow I think they brought beauty to art. They brought office to art, like curators can be maybe seen. So then, I was curious: have you encountered curator or curatore, or I don't know how, like in your
Of course, if I've met curators, of course.
I mean,
they are everywhere. Curators are everywhere. You cannot escape.
In the archive, in the research, or.
But I think that this new status of the curator goes with also the changing of the artistic paradigm, meaning the model of the work is eclipsed in a way, is in shadow today, and that's why the artist and the curator can become indistinguishable if there is not such
As an idea. Yeah.
Throughout the whole week and specifically yesterday, you expounded on how the church has, in a sense, corrupted our thought, Western culture. It has from beneath, from underneath, worked to turn some concepts that are then used for control or for division or for whatever it is that religion and the church does. Do you think that the problem of untying these notes and these translations is prior to the problem of the state?
But precisely one of the problems of this genealogical work is also to show how this theological religious model, which I didn't want to qualify them just